Once upon a time, two friends joined forces to bring you the best in horror entertainment. Brian from the north, Tim from the south, each bringing their own unique perspective to the horror community. Movie reviews, Blu-ray releases, beer pairings, games, and more. Welcome to your new home for horror. This is Civil Gore.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 144 of the Civil Gore Podcast. I'm your host, Tim.
And this is Brian. And we have a fun show. This is actually this I think could be potentially be one of my favorite shows because we have like one of the coolest interviews that we've done, I think. Lauren Compton, who I've discussed actually last week's show, and I had seen some of the movies that she did. And so we're going to talk about CLOWNTOwn, but then also we have one of the coolest interviews I think we did because she was so fun to talk to.
Yeah, and we're going to get to all that fun in just a second, right after our first chop. Okay, Brian, so my Hammer project is not dead because I actually found QUATERMASS 2. Now, I was getting kind of worried because I'm trying to do these in chronological order, and if I can't find a movie, I'm kind of stuck. So I was almost to the point of skipping over it, and I just randomly ran across the fact that QUATERMASS 2 was released as Enemy from Space in the U.S. So no wonder I couldn't find it.
There you go.
So then I started looking for Enemy from Space, and I happened to find a version I could stream online. QUATERMASS 2, of course, is the sequel to the QUATERMASS Experiment that I covered a couple shows back. It's from 1957, and this one, I'm not sure if I really like the QUATERMASS series. I know they're really
You just like to say QUATERMASS.
I do, but in the movies they say QUATERMASS. QUATERMASS. I don't know. They're very dry for sci-fi.
Too dry for a sci-fi.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty dry for a sci-fi.
Yeah, there you go. That's Tim's new shirt. There we go.
Yeah, I don't know. They must have this British quality to them. They're a little bit. They're very, very talky, and this one just seems so QUATERMASSy in terms of like the original. That's my new word, QUATERMASSy.
QUATERMASSy.
In this one, instead of sending people to space and they come back and there's an alien on board, this time the aliens just come down from meteorites. And they're still blob-like. I guess in the first one, he's kind of more plant-like. These ones are kind of more blob-like. So it reminded me a lot of X the Unknown, which I had also covered. And the vast majority of the movie is just them talking about the stupid alien. And then there's always a part in there where they talk about some crazy convoluted scientific theory why this is all possible. And I don't know, I know these movies are kind of cultish beloved, but I don't know that I'm trying to be honest with myself. I don't know that I really enjoyed them that much. So I can understand their influence. Obviously they're a huge influence on sci-fi and probably horror to some extent, but I didn't too much care for QUATERMASS 2.
Poor
Sorry.
Tim. And isn't there like 9 more QUATERMASS?
No, there's a QUATERMASS in the Pit, I think is the next one. I don't know if there are any more after that one.
Oh, okay. So
now there's been remakes, and there's been actually in the 2000s, I think they had a remake of the QUATERMASS Experiment, but I'm not going down that rabbit hole.
Well, it's not Hammer either, right?
They're not Hammer, so I'm just sticking with these originals. And I'm going to buy these eventually on Blu-ray because I want to have all the Hammer horror disc on Blu-ray at some point as part of my collection. So maybe I'll get a good commentary or something to tell me why I'm wrong.
In Tim's monolith, basically.
Yeah, sometimes that happens, yeah. And then the other film I watched this weekend is not really horror, but I figured I would talk about it because I know most horror fans love this cartoon. And that was Scooby-Doo. That was my favorite cartoon growing up, hands down. And as you know, SCOOB came out this weekend. It was supposed to be in theaters this summer, and they decided to release it straight to home rental because of the COVID virus and theaters being closed. And Joshua has been looking forward to this so much because he loves Scooby-Doo, just like I did. So I said, all right, we're going to have a family movie night, and we're going to rent this thing. And we ended up buying it because it was $25 to buy or $20 to rent.
Oh, yeah, you might as well
just buy the thing.
Yeah.
I will preface this by saying you need to go in with a little bit of an open mind. Because if you're a Scooby-Doo purist, the first thing you're going to notice is that the voices are really wrong. And that's because they got some big names to voice these characters that aren't really that close to the originals. For instance, Will Forte plays Shaggy. I love Will Forte.
Why couldn't they get like Matthew Lillard at least?
Exactly. I mean, and I love Will Forte in anything he does, except for voicing Shaggy, because he sounds nothing like Shaggy. I mean, just the barest. He sounds like somebody trying to vaguely do an impression of Shaggy, and it comes off really bad. They did update the Scooby Gang to a more modern, because they have cell phones and stuff now, which is fine. I don't mind that. I don't mind them updating it for a new generation. And their personalities are in the ballpark of where they are in the old cartoon. But I tried to keep an open mind with it.
Was Scrappy Doo in it at least?
No, Scrappy Doo's not in it. But there were some huge, huge surprises in this movie. And that's the thing I actually love the best about it. Just from the little previews I had picked up, I thought it was just going to be a movie about like baby Scooby-Doo, like when he met Shaggy and all that. And I thought it was going to be like this prequel thing. And that is true for about the first 10 minutes. And then it goes into straight Scooby-Doo. And there are some neat surprise cameos in here that I'm not going to give away, that if you were a fan of Hanna-Barbera growing up, you're going to absolutely love. So that's what I loved about it. It's kind of it's entertaining. It's cute. It's a fun update to the Scooby Gang. And I actually really, really liked it, aside from the bad voice acting. And the acting wasn't bad, but the voices didn't match the characters I grew up with. But if you can overlook that, it's a really entertaining family movie.
Oh, cool. I will have to check it out. I don't know if I'm going to rush to buy it, but I definitely will check it out when I get a chance.
Yeah.
So my project is going along. I wanted to get a couple knocked out per week, but just with everything else going on and some other movies we ended up watching, I moved on to Amityville 2: The Possession. And this one, now see, this has got a mixed thing on this movie. See, I had seen it many times years ago. It used to always play on HBO and stuff a lot. So it's it's like but I haven't seen it in a while. And while I there was a couple of things I didn't remember. It's like, first of all, I didn't remember how quickly it got into things. Like right off the bat, like this thing starts up like with crazy stuff going on in that house. There's a lot, and remember, this is supposedly a prequel, so but it's got the cool, it's got the score, from the original, which was good. Of course, Diane Franklin, this was her first foray into Amityville. She, of course, later came back again with a similar, where it's more accurate, played by the DeFeos. I think this family in this one was supposed to represent. I think they were the Martellis. They were supposed to represent like the DeFeos, I guess, but I guess they didn't want to use the actual name in this. I didn't do a full research on the backstory of this one, but there's some stuff I like. I mean, there was great practical effects throughout too, and there was a lot of creepy sequences. So I mean, on that front, it was really well done. But I don't remember I remember the one cringe scene where he basically he's demonic. He basically has sex with his sister, but they have some weird cringy flirty thing going on in the beginning of the movie before neither one of them are possessed. Yes. And I'm like, wait a minute, he's not possessed yet. What's this weird thing going on, And it's like, it's kind of like cringy a little bit there. And I'm like, yeah, I think
that's the only thing people remember about this movie is the brother-sister thing. That's always what gets brought up.
Well, because I'm telling you, I didn't notice how there's something already weird with it before the possession starts. Because I think they do this thing and she goes, "What? I'm not your type? You want big boobs or something?" I'm like, all right, what brother and sister talk like that? Like, really? Come on, who says that? And it's like, and what's great is though about it's the rest of the there's so much going on in that movie that's so good and so creepy and everything, and there's a lot of good practical effects, and there's it really gets intense with the haunting, and they don't hold back on anything in this. I mean, especially with the murder scenes, but yeah, that's just super cringy, and of course it has a screaming Burt Young, which is always good, even though one would go, "Go on, rock," or something like that, but because he's of course he played Paulie, but I don't, but overall it's still a good entry into the it's still Amityville at this point. You know, you're still kind of you haven't developed a thing where they're just slapping on the title.
As Amityville sequels go, it's pretty darn good.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely one of the best from the ones that I've seen. It's definitely one of the best. And like I said, it's like, you know, yes, of course, when you see like a brother and sister kind of partake in those acts, it's a little shocking, but like I said, it wasn't like I kind of remembered that part, but I knew he was possessed. So I'm like, I guess maybe I don't know. It's like I guess all right. Well, so he's possessed. He was someone else. So it's not. But then with the like I said, the whole you got to watch it next time. Go. It's on Tubi, so you can see Tubi's got like 10 Amityville movies on there, so they're a great source already. But go watch that again and watch the opening sequence with the brother and the sister's first interaction. That is not right. I don't know. But
that's funny.
But yeah, but I'm gonna have fun, I think, going through this whole project.
Next up, Where the Others Are. Now, Brian, unfortunately I did not get a chance to finish watching this. I started it and what I saw was incredible, but I got sidelined with some work projects. But I believe you finished it.
I did.
And, tell us about how we got this and the screener and everything, how we came across this.
You know, I don't know. I guess people just search out for podcasts and stuff because they found this guy, Aaron, who is one of the founders of this company called E3W Productions. They had done another indie horror film actually called The House on Pine Street. So he sent and asked us if we had any, you know, interest in wanting to see about his new film that's coming out. It's actually going to be, by the time you're listening to this, it's already been out. It's on it came out on, when you hear this, May 22nd. And I believe it's going to be on, well, it just says they're releasing it online. Once we get the exact details, we'll share it. But, yeah, so he asked if we wanted to see a screener, and of course I said absolutely, because we always love supporting indie film. And I am so glad we got this one, because this is really unique. So just to summarize a little bit here of what happened. So this was originally a stage performance. And I'm just going to give you the summary, the brief summary. I don't want to give into too many details of this, but basically it's a desperate plea from an old friend brings you to the doorstep of her neglected trailer. She's finally ready to leave her abusive husband and she wants your help, but he may not be what he appears to be, and her problem may be beyond human comprehension. So what it is like basically kind of it was an immersive experience where only 2 people would be in the audience at a time. But what happened is, unfortunately, they only got about 100 people got to see it before the COVID pandemic struck. And so what they did is they put so much effort into it that what they did is they quickly filmed it. But they filmed it as in the style of like the camera is you, the audience. So if you were to see it on the stage show, the intimacy, that's how they filmed it. So it's like the camera moves around and you're the view of it. So the basically a lot of the times the actors are talking to you, which is kind of cool, and it's a little unnerving at the same time. But it's done so like I can't like when I saw this, I was like, I can't believe this was not its intention to film it this way. It was filmed so good. And the main guy in it is Daniel Van Thomas. He was in Revolution. I'm gonna butcher that, right? It's Revolution Trail. We figured it. Yeah, that really cool Western zombie film that we reviewed. I think it was way back in season 1 or 2.
Yeah, it was early. Yeah.
We got that. It was early on, and we both loved that. And so he's in it. And it was funny when I'm watching this, I'm like, boy, he looks familiar. And then I looked it up. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so I did actually see in the press release. It's going to be on Vimeo on demand. It's going to be $16. So I actually did a little research in there. But I tell you, though, the performance in this are incredible. The 2 actors is Emily Goss and Daniel Van Thomas. They are, okay, so you know how a state, I mean, obviously because of your brother and sister-in-law, basically are huge stage performers.
Right, yeah.
And so, when you're on stage, there's a bit, and, of course, my sister-in-law does a lot of plays. So there's a certain kind of acting style, right? And, where it's like they're very, it's, some might call it like over dramatic, but you can tell when something was set for the stage and not the screen.
Because they have to be able to play to the people in the back. So
right.
So the motions have to be a little more exaggerated. They have to enunciate. They have to project. Yeah.
Right. So in this, they of course they still play it like that, but like I said, it's the way the camera work on this thing makes you feel like you are in the immersive theater, and it only takes place in 2 set pieces basically, which is this Airstream trailer and then this old house that's like right next to it. So it's just like, but the important performances are so intense and so well done that it's like it's pretty captivating. It's only 56 minutes. Give or take I don't know, maybe it's like 57, give or take a minute or two. But this thing is phenomenal. Tim, I can't wait till you actually get to see it, get to finish it, because it's so good. And like I said, Emily Goss and Daniel Van Thomas do such an amazing job of it. And it's cool because they told me, and I didn't know why, but they said, like, make sure you watch it like with headphones, maybe in a dark room. Really the best quality you can get. I happen to watch it on my iPad, but with my headphones on, so I still got the immersive thing. And let me tell you, this was impressive. This was really, really cool, and especially to know that they whipped that part up so fast, the filming part, because it was originally on a stage performance. But it's really cool because you really feel like you're in part of it, and they're talking to you, like you basically play their friends in it. So it's like interactive, immersive.
When I was watching the first 5 minutes, all I could think of was this would be a really cool VR experience.
Oh yeah, I wonder how that would be. Like, I wonder if I could pull that up on the how it would look on the Oculus, because I mean, granted, it's not set for that. It's not like it's in 3D or anything, but still the in your faceness of it might be cool.
Yeah, I think it would be cool.
So, so guys, check that out on Vimeo on demand, where the others are, and we'll post a link later to. By the time you're hearing this, we may have posted the link already, so you can go check this out. And like I said, for $16, totally worth it. Like, I would actually love to see this in the theater, but obviously with what's going on, that just can't happen. But I have to tell you, it works so well as a film. It has this like it doesn't, it like has an indie feel, but it doesn't at the same time, if that makes sense, because it's so well done. It's
it's a really
cool.
Good production values. I mean, it's really
yeah.
I mean, again, I've only watched like 5 or 10 minutes of this thing, and I was already pretty impressed. So I can't wait to finish it.
Yeah, it pulls you right in, and I think it's because of that immersiveness, and the performances are so strong and so well done that it's like there's just it just blows you away. So yeah, in fact, I think I may try and watch it again one more time before. I don't know how long our screener link goes, but I'll wait until you see it first, make sure in case we have a limit.
Nice.
But yeah, so check that out. Where the others are, like I said, hopefully by the time you're listening to this, we'll have posted all the details for you. So go check that out. Help out the E3W Productions, because they put on a really, really cool project here.
All right, and then next up, Once Upon a Time in Deadwood, another Lauren Compton film.
Yeah, so I wanted to see all her stuff anyway, and so I watched this one, and, Tim and I like our Westerns anyway, and especially when I saw that it starred that fake Charles Bronson guy, Robert Bronzy. So I watched it, and actually, this is a really fun movie. Really cool, like Western, and and plus, like it's you can't get over that it's not Charles Bronson at points until he talks.
I know. Well, I looked him up because I was like, "Who's Brian talking about? Fake Charles Bronson?" I pulled up a picture. I was like, "Holy crap!" He's
right?
Not kidding.
he sounds nothing like him, but he looks like him, and he's so
God.
good in this because he's like this like colonel that like basically the plot is it's Lauren Compton and this little girl get kidnapped and in a jail in the Old West, and Michael Paré, who you remember him from like Eddie and the Cruisers and Streets of Fire. He plays like this guy. I almost didn't like realize it was him at first, but he plays like this like corrupty sheriff, like Wild West. It's one of those times where everything's lawless. The women are treated like objects 100%. And so basically Lauren Compton's character is stuck in this jail while they have the little girl, like basically being he's basically like taking her as a daughter because him and his wife couldn't conceive. So he basically just decides to like take what he wants. And Lauren Compton's character, she's being like basically trained to kind of be like a prostitute or possibly some whatever, like whatever they need her for basically. So, but she's in jail because she's refusing to do anything. But she keeps saying, "Oh, someone's coming for me. You're going to regret it." So basically, then you find out, you meet this other character, and she's saying how she's going to come rescue her sister. But, I guess, it's really dangerous for a woman to be wandering around the Wild West around here. So she basically pleads with the fake Charles Bronson character to basically accompany her and help her get out. But he doesn't do this anymore, he says, and he doesn't want to do it. So basically what she does is she tricks him and poisons him and basically says the only way to get the antidote is to rescue my sister. She has it. So basically, that's the whole thing. So they're going on a mission, like it's kind of like an adventure where they go in to try and head to the town. And, of course, they encounter a lot of obstacles on the way. But it's as a Western it works really well, and it's a really fun movie. It's really it moves quickly. Like I think it's only an hour and a half, but it feels like even quicker than that, but not in a bad way. I mean, it's really good. So
Nice.
yeah, so definitely check that out, and even try and distract yourself that it's not Charles Bronson though, because because poor Robert Bronzy, because he's always gonna be known as the fake Charles Bronson, but he's actually pretty good in his role.
Yeah,
so
that's great. Next up, we found out that Scream 5 was coming. I don't know if they've officially called it Scream 5 or not, Brian, but David Arquette is returning as Dewey, so we know it's a sequel to the Scream franchise. And the big news was it is being filmed in my hometown this fall.
Yeah, so Tim might be a cameo in it. We'll have to.
We're becoming like the horror capital now. What's up with this?
I know.
Like all our movies are horror movies. And it wasn't just Halloween Kills. We also had that Russell Crowe movie was filmed here. That's kind of horror-y. So yeah, we're getting known for our horror movies now. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Scream 5 is kind of exciting news because I know they said Nev Campbell's in the works, and they actually said that I keep hearing rumors that Matthew Lillard is being contacted. So basically implying some of the things I read, that is, he did not die in the original. And
well, I know he'd come out and said he would absolutely be up to be in another Scream movie.
Yeah, so I mean, or he plays like a twin brother or something. Who knows what they'll do? The twist.
They'll do something crazy.
But that's the beauty. The Scream franchise could totally use the most common trope because that's its shtick. It uses it, and it kind of does it all tongue in cheek. So I'm actually looking forward to it. And I actually reached out because I wanted to find out her reaction. Of course, our friend Crystal, who does Horror Nights In podcast, who we did that combo show with that time, she loves the Scream series, so she was very, very excited about the news. So
that's gonna be great. So we'll have more news about that as it gets closer. It's gonna be sometime this fall, and my local news typically keeps up with all the productions in Wilmington, so I should have some insider scoops for you soon.
Are they going to be fighting like the Halloween Ends, though? Because that's going to be filming in the fall there, too, right?
I don't know. There's plenty of room. They can have both of them socially distanced filming.
Yeah, really, right?
Yeah, so next up, we had another Joe Bob show Friday night. Unfortunately, Brian, I was worn out and exhausted. We also had, oh my gosh, we've been so busy with everything going on that it's been almost impossible to kind of sit down and really take in some Joe Bob. So unfortunately, I missed all of this one. I cringe to say that, but I will go back and watch it at some point.
Yeah, I only watched the first one because I wanted to see Lloyd Kaufman interviews and stuff, and he was funny and all that stuff. And I thought I had seen this one, but I guess I never saw Troma's War before. So that was kind of good. I got to see that. I was kind of bummed. My allergies were really bad the last few days, including today. They haven't been great. But when my allergies act up like that, I get wiped out fast. And so, I was tired, so I was fighting it in, and I was so bummed I could not stay up for the second movie, which was One Cut of the Dead, which I still have not yet to see, and I'm dying to see. So that would have been fun to see it. But then again, there is one disadvantage when you're watching it on The Last Drive-In for the first time, because what greatness you get from the interstitials, it also sometimes it stops the movie, and then you're like, if you haven't seen it, you kind of want to get back to it. So I find I think I enjoy movies that I've already seen more so than movies I haven't seen through The Last Drive-In, because then it's because if you've already seen it, Joe Bob still gives you a million new things you didn't know about it. So it's like,
yeah, that
you
makes
still
sense.
Get that. So I tend to like the ones I've already seen better. So so I'll eventually see that, and then I'll go back to watch the Joe Bob I missed. And he did deliver supposedly a very inspiring little speech there that's been going around all the horror social medias about stop calling yourself an indie filmmaker, you're a director, and all this stuff. And so that was really cool because Joe Bob's awesome like that.
All right, and then lastly, we had a Halloween watch party, which I did not participate in, but Brian did, and boy, did he pull the tweet-like of the century for the Civil Gore podcast. This was so awesome. Tell us about that, Brian.
Yeah, so we were first of all, it was a great tweet along. So I mean, everyone was in this thing. I mean, for the cast, I mean, you had Jamie Lee Curtis, you had Judy Greer, Andy Matichak, James Jude Courtney. I think David Gordon Green was somewhere around in there, but I don't know, or something like. But I didn't see his tweets go as much. Ryan Turek was there. You know, ton of people from the horror community were in there. A lot of Halloween sites were in there, and of course, there was even a you might have heard of him, Tim. I don't know. I think he worked on one of the older Halloweens. A guy named John Carpenter. I don't know. Have you heard of him?
Was he like a stagehand?
I don't know. I think.
Work?
Oh, you know what? I think he just did the music or something. But
oh, okay. Yeah.
No, but of course, even the master himself, the king. If Jamie Lee Curtis, of course, is the queen, scream queen, I think John Carpenter has to be the king. You know, and so. While I was going through, I was trying to, I always try and tweet a bunch of stuff out. At first, it started off slow. We got the Halloween Kills official site liked one of our things, so I'm like, all right, but we're on a good thing. But then after a while, it was mostly just like the fans liking it. But then we got a Judy Greer like, which was kind of cool. I was very excited about that because I'm a big fan of Judy Greer, so that was kind of cool. And then I even got an Andy Matichuk like thrown in there, and I think another Judy Greer. But then I decided to just send a nice little message at the end, saying, oh, thank you to all the, for the cast for putting that on, for the crew to stick around, and making the movie watch so much fun. And I've seen the Halloween 2018 many times by this point, but it was like really extra special learning all the different tips and stuff in there, and all the behind the scenes, and just seeing all the fans collaborate. And that tweet was liked by John Carpenter, which. Some people are like, oh, yeah, so what? But no, but this, like, to me, like, when Tim and I saw this, we're just like, oh, my God, that's it? We need to end the podcast now?
We're done.
It. There's nothing left. What other stratosphere can be reached? But, yeah, no, so that was pretty awesome. And I was looking through, and he was actually taking time to like people's tweets and thanking them if they said something to him specifically. And so what a good guy. Like that, he doesn't need to do any of that. But that's how awesome he is. He knows what he means to the horror community and Halloween fans, and the fact that he embraces it so much. I mean, that's just awesome. So I don't know. And it's funny. It really was I've seen it a couple times in the theater. Halloween is but also I've seen it a ton of times on just watching it when I got the home release. It's been on cable a lot lately. Of course, I'm talking about the 2018 one. But to see it again, like with everybody watch it was so much fun. Like it really is. These tweet-alongs end up being really just something special. It's so cool. I guess if there's one good thing to do while we're all stuck in the house is at least watch as many horror movies as we can with as many people as we can, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, so we're going to do things a little bit out of order tonight because I was talking to Brian before the podcast. We usually do our interviews before we talk about our featured film, but in this case, Lauren was so gracious to talk about our featured film, CLOWNTOWN, inside the interview that I thought you guys would actually benefit more from hearing us talk about the film first and then hear the interview. Because she gives a lot of cool behind-the-scenes stuff and trivia that I think will make more sense, or you'll appreciate more having known a little bit about the movie first.
We were talking to her generally because she's had a number of credits, and so we were when we started talking about this film, she really gave some cool behind-the-scene tidbits that you'll find out about, and so we decided we're like, hey, let's just make that our movie since we both liked it. Well, let's make that our feature film.
Yeah, why not? And I think it's one of those movies that most people are probably not going to have seen unless they kind of just ran across it on Prime or something until somebody says, hey, you really should watch this, kind of get some good word of mouth there. So I kind of wanted to promote this one because I actually really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Of course, we're talking about CLOWNTOWN from 2016, directed by Tom Nagel, starring Brian Nagel as Brad, Lauren Compton as Sarah, Andrew Staten as Mike, Katie Keene as Jill, Jeff Denton as Dylan. A group of friends get stranded in a seemingly deserted small town and find themselves stalked by a violent gang of psychopaths dressed as clowns. And before we start, I will tell you flat out, this movie is your typical bunch of kids get lost in a rural town and get stalked by psychopaths movie. It doesn't break that mold from any number of countless other horror movies you've seen. However, I will say that it is really good for what it is. And if you can accept that that's what it is, I think you'll be really, really entertained. One thing I really liked about this movie, we talked about a little bit in the interview, is that they didn't go with a typical supernatural take on clowns. When I see CLOWNTOWN, the title, I'm thinking, oh, there's this town and it's everybody in it lives as clowns and there's some kind of super, you know what I mean? Like some kind of weird, kind of hard to believe gimmick to it. Not that I don't love killer clowns from outer space, don't get me wrong, but
or Terrifier, you know, those have supernatural clowns, but supernatural-ish
clowns. It's not that I don't like those movies, but I'm not scared of clowns in real life. So it takes a lot for me to get creeped out by a clown thing. And CLOWNTOWN actually did creep me out in spots because it is so realistic in terms of these people just seem like murderers that happen to dress as clowns, not clowns that are murderers, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
Yeah, no, and in the beginning it does sets it up well, because I watched it actually a second time, you know, in prep for the podcast. So I watched it again, and, you know, the opening sequence, which looked like maybe just like one of those kind of, could be one of those kind of throwaway sequences, actually gives you a lot if you pay attention to things. I mean, there's a couple of actually funny little nods in there, which I caught this time. When the babysitter, she picks up the phone and says, "Hi, Strode residence."
Yeah, I noticed some horror references in there. Yeah,
and then the first kid, the boy she encounters, if you know, I don't know if we're gonna go that into spoilers on that, but what he's wearing is a very big again, nod to Halloween. But then one of the ones I really caught this time, like those two I kind of caught the first time, but this one I didn't notice. The news reporter on the television she turns to is named Courtney Weathers, which of course to me is Courtney Cox playing Gail Weathers. So I think that we have someone that's obviously, he knows his horror stuff, and he gives us a couple of little like wink, wink, nod, nod moments there for that. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's great. So basically the plot of this movie revolves around one of the girls in the film leaves her phone behind, and she calls it, and the person on the other end says they're going to meet her in this town. They're on their way to a concert, so they're already running late, but they decide to meet this guy in this town, and that's how they get kind of shortcutted into CLOWNTOWN out of their beaten path, which I thought was a decent reason, you know, because you have to have some kind of contrived reason for these people to wind up in this weird rural Ohio town. And I thought it was pretty good how they set all this stuff up so that they are in this spot. And knowing how people are attached to their phones these days is not out of the realm of possibility.
No, in fact, that to me was the scariest thing, because I know, and like her reaction was way calmer than I am when I think I lose my phone.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh God, you know, and I'm like, you know, stomping, you know, kind of.
Yeah.
I'm like, why did I forget that? Or, you know, like there's one time literally I just forgot it in the apartment as I got to my car, which literally only had to cause me an extra 5 minutes of time. And I was so angry for like a half an hour. Just, I'm like, how did I forget it? How could I forget my phone?
Olivia, she'll tell you right now, the one thing that probably makes me angrier than anything is not being able to find something that I know I just had. It drives me insane. I have to really work on my temper when I lose something that I know good and well I just had it.
Yeah, that's like, it's almost because all the things go in your head, like, okay, wait, like, all right, who took it is the first thing, right? Who moved it? You know, it's like,
where did the kids put it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so what did I do? Yeah.
Yeah, so she's a lot more even keeled than I am when it comes to losing stuff. So I can understand why these people would go to this town and agree to meet up, and they're still not, you know, they're not too late, so they can kind of afford the little bit of a detour to make it. Then of course things go downhill when they get into this town and run into these three clowns. I think it's 3 clowns, right? There's three main clowns.
I think there's a total of 5 of them.
Right. But there's 3 like main ones we see primarily.
Yeah, there's like the long-haired creepy one, the heavy set one,
the baseball bat guy.
And I apologize. Yeah, that guy's that to me is like the second creepiest. The big heavy one, I don't know why. That to me, I'm just like, okay, I've seen that one before. But it's the long-haired skinny like gnarly one creeps me out, and the one that's like well dressed kind of creeps me out because he's just got that like, I don't know, like the Jared Leto Joker kind of thing, but but sinister, you know, but really not funny in any way. Like he never cracks a smile at all, you know, never does like a, you know, any kind of quips. He doesn't. In fact, I don't think any of them speak. There's just the girl one does. The girl one later on, she speaks. I think that's it, right?
Yeah, so, and I was telling Brian, this movie reminded me a lot of The Strangers in terms of the way they act, in that they're completely ruthless and heartless in the way they go about killing. It's almost not even like a stalking thing. It's just they just run across you and kill you for no reason. It's such a brutal, almost like a Michael Myers-esque, just kill you for the sake of killing you and feel absolutely no empathy whatsoever. Nothing.
Oh, you're right. You know what, Tim? I think you're right. It's 4. It's 4 total. It's the girl, the long-haired guy, the heavy guy, and the other one. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. I love that they had this. I thought that's what made it so scary. Was it like The Strangers? They're just killing for no reason because you're there. Yeah. And that's what they're gonna do. I don't know. I found it kind of chilling. We talk about in the interview also how well put together this movie is in terms of the production value. It looks really good for this low budget of film. Really good.
Yeah, no, and what's pretty good is they basically throughout like a couple of different sequences you kind of learn like that there is a backstory to the town itself, but they don't do it in a way where they do it, you know, it's not like that like typical way where they'll just cut to a flashback. Like even the flashbacks they do are like cut in a way that makes it cool. I don't know. It's funny. I've seen a lot of like reviews on this that have been negative, you know, and they say, "Oh, well, it's the same." But I think some people just don't look at, you know, at all the nuances of movies like that. Like, yes, I get it that the trope, as we said, it's a very common trope. Group of kids get stranded somewhere, and now they're being chased by one people. I mean, yes, it's similar to it's kind of like almost like closer to the second Strangers at some level, you know, where they're but the same thing is it's still that. But like, how many times have you seen this and yet you still like it? So it's like the fact that I hate when people just say, "Oh, I've seen this before in this movie." Well, yeah, but if this one is done better or in a different style, why can't you appreciate it also? You know, it's like, and that's the way I looked at it. Like this was kind of like one, you know, movie that you've seen before, but they did some great stuff that you could appreciate if you give it a chance and let yourself just watch it and enjoy it.
Yeah, well, you know, I think there's 2 paths you can take when you watch a movie. You can either watch a movie and pick out all the bad stuff you hate about it, or you can watch a movie and pick out all the stuff you like about it. And I try, and I don't always succeed, but I try when I watch these movies to look for the good stuff, especially with these lower budget indie films, because you know they're not going to have the level of production value that these multi-million-dollar theatrical releases are going to have. So you got to look for the good stuff. You know the bad stuff's going to be there in some capacity. You know sometimes the acting's not going to be fully up to par. Sometimes the writing's not going to be fully up to par. But you have to pick out those pieces that are really, really good. And in this movie, I thought they just did a phenomenal job for considering the budget and considering they're not trying to break any crazy ground with the plot line and the story. I thought they just did an amazing job just making a scary movie despite the fact that we've quote unquote seen this before. I thought they just had some choices in there that were really well done.
Yeah, and you know, it's like, you know, you said something too interesting, right? So like, yeah, you know, for something like this movie, for the people, you know, some people may say, "Oh, well, listen to that line of dialogue," or "Oh, that's a silly line," or "Oh, what a weird premise." You're not there for all that. You're there for some. I mean, the way I took it is like, I'm thinking I was hoping for what I hoped for this movie was a lot of creepy sequences with clowns, and they gave it to me because like there's the one scene, like especially and it was the second viewing I saw of it that I realized how creepy it was when they're all hiding in the bus and that big heavyset clown is like smacking the bat, and it's like you really don't hear much other than that the bat, and they're just situated in just a way that he can't see it. He's looking over them because they're leaned so up against the wall, and he's just tapping it, and it's so unnerving because you're like, oh my, and I have to say they do, and I'm not trying to be biased, but like, because obviously, since we talked to Lauren about it, but like they're all so good in that scene because they're all like leaned up, and you see like the actual tension, and it's like that's what I was feeling in all honesty because of that. Something about when there's quiet and there's like a loud sound like tapping, like or smacking like that, and I'm just like, oh my god, it's like there's some like here's the perfect example. I mean, to me lately, it's like so with the quarantine going on, right? Like I live off of like my apartment complex is right next to a very major road outside. So I always, you can always hear traffic in the background, but obviously with a lot of people staying at home, and it's a big road with a lot of stores and a lot of shopping, all that stuff you can't do. So every time there's a siren, I hear it. Every time an alarm goes off like 10 blocks away, I'm hearing it. And it's so unnerving because there's a quieter feeling about it, and then and a sound that like normally may not like bother me, like a tapping. That's not going to bother you, in a creepy way, except if you're literally hear nothing but it, and you're sitting there trying to just duck under the view of a sadistic clown that's trying to kill you. So it's like I thought that scene was done really well, and that was like I actually got like the like this like kind of like a creep factor that you said. I'm like, this is like. It could be really bad. It's like if you imagine you were really in this situation, like hiding out. And I think I told that story where I was trying to hide out. My friend and I were hiding out from that crazy like guy at my old apartment complex when I was a kid, and he was trying to play a joke. But like that moment where we were literally hiding and we didn't know it was a joke. Like I could still like I feel like the temper like that because we were just out of his sight line, and there's nothing quite like that. So it's like when I saw that, I'm like, oh, that's
like terrifying. Yeah,
like so. And I thought like that was the thing. If that was made up with a lot of sequences like that, and to me, that's what you come to the movie. I know I took a convoluted way to get around to it, but that's what I was trying to say. Is like that's what you come for these movies for. You don't come for like like the award-winning like dialogue, you don't come for that, you want a couple of funny lines here and there, which they delivered, but mostly you want to be like, you want to have like some creepy clown stuff, and that's what this does.
Yeah, when I watch a kind of low-budget indie film, I just want to see something that rises above my expectations of a low-budget indie film. And this movie had several instances of that, whether it was some of the creepy sequences, some of the violence, the production value. There were a lot of things in this movie that rose above my expectations. That doesn't mean to say that it's perfect. There's a lot of flaws in the movie. Every movie's going to have its flaws. But I really just enjoyed it on a just a fun horror movie level. So that's all you can really ask for, right?
Yeah, no, and that was the thing is like when I first saw this and I started to watch, and I saw that it was like, I was like, oh, this is going to be one of these clown movies. But then it like actually really exceeded my expectations. So, and that's, what, that's with as many horror movies as we watched over these last 3-4 years. I mean, come on, that's all. You're right. That's really all you can ask for.
All right, well, let's touch on the trivia. There's only one little piece of trivia here, and we'll get into some real trivia with Lauren later on in our interview.
Yes.
But the house on fire in the clown montage is not an effect. The cast and crew were on their way back to base for lunch when a couple of them noticed a flicker off down the road. They immediately turned around and called the fire department while checking the house for inhabitants. So I need to know. I wish I'd seen that trivia before we talked to Lauren so I could ask her a little bit more about that.
Yeah. But you know what? In fact, it's so funny because when I was doing this, I'm glad you suggested the reversal of the order, because when I was setting up the rundown, I'm like, oh wait, we only have one piece of trivia, and then I'm like, oh wait, but we got way more from Lauren herself from this movie.
Brian, I think we should go ahead and launch right into the interview. So prepare yourself for a treat. This was such a fun talk and hangout with Lauren. I think you guys are going to enjoy it as well. Without further ado, our interview with Miss Lauren Compton.
So we have a really fun guest today. She's battled a killer camera, sadistic clowns, and even killer donuts. while she's not doing these things, she's entertaining all of her Instagram followers with some of the coolest and funniest content around. So please welcome to Civil Gore, the immensely talented Lauren Compton.
What's up?
What's up?
How you guys doing? Thanks for having me on.
Oh my God, thank you for coming on. I know with I see what you post every day that you are extremely busy still. So it's really an honor to have you be able to put some time aside for us.
No, of course. So thank you guys for reaching out. This was really fun. I saw your email and immediately was like, cool, let's do this. Let's talk about some horror movies.
Cool. Yeah, we have so first, of course, so we want to start off and we want to make sure, which we kind of know that you guys you're doing okay and staying safe, of course. And...
Yeah, I mean, I'm really not going many places. My boyfriend is a professional athlete, so we exercise in the morning and we usually go to like a nature trail an hour away where nobody is, and we go on a hike, and then that's like my outdoor activity.
I saw he has like he has a bunch of bicycles and all this kind of stuff, and you guys are doing those ice baths and everything, all that
I know, he's insane.
That's I was like scared for you actually when you on that one, because I'm such a wimp when it comes to cold water. Takes me like a half an hour.
Oh, no, me too. That was not a voluntary thing. I did not encourage the ice bath. That was something that he actually blew his knee out a couple months ago, and for recovery he had to start doing all of this like PT, physical training, and then he got this ice bath so that he could recover faster. And then when I found out that you burn calories, I was like, well, I guess I should start trying this.
Yeah, I think I would burn mine from running from the ice bath.
Your method's not wrong.
Yeah, so I mean, it works,
Yeah, but it's freezing. I think it's like, there's tons of ice. It looks like the Titanic sunk in there.
Yeah, I know. I was expecting like a little floating door in there and stuff, but
it's freezing. It's actually freezing. But I sit in there for like I think the longest I've ever sat in there was 8 minutes, and you burn like 100 calories or 200 calories per minute.
Oh wow. Is that like fear calories? It must be like fear.
It must be. Your whole body just tenses up. It's from the tenseness.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna stick to running, thanks.
Yeah. And I'll stick to watching other people do it. But No.
So Lauren, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you started out in the industry?
I moved to California in 2005. And I started out modeling. I always wanted to act, but I tried for like 2 years. I went to all these auditions and did all this commercial stuff, and I had an agent, and I never booked one job. And so then I got approached by a company to model for them, and I was like, okay. And then that ended up taking off, and then I got asked to do commercials and hosting, and then my career sort of started from like modeling.
Cool.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I saw you did some stand up too, which was cool, because I actually dabbled in that for like a very short period, so that was kind of cool. I saw some of your clips. You were so good at that. Thank
you. I did stand up to laugh to keep from crying.
Oh.
I went through a pretty gnarly divorce. I was married for 5 years in my 20s, and he cheated on me. So I moved out, and we started going through a divorce, and I was like so upset about it, and I just couldn't handle my emotions. So I took a stand-up comedy course, and I just like really loved the science of writing comedy, because I could figure out how to communicate what I was going through in a fun way. And then when I started doing stand-up, I realized that so many people resonate with that and relate to me. And it made me feel so much better, because I was like, wow, I'm not the only one. And like, if I can get through this, you can get through this. And so I started like really loving the stand-up community, and I started doing tons of stand-up for like 4 years. And I opened for a bunch of people, and I did it internationally for a little bit. And I also did stand-up too, because I wanted to act more. And a lot of people were telling me, oh, if you do stand-up, it's a really good thing for casting directors to know, and then they'll contact you to do more acting jobs. And I was like, oh, sick, that's great. And then I never got one acting job from a stand-up show, and I was like, wait, and I realized I was on the road to become a professional stand-up, and that I wasn't having time to actually act. And people were asking me, oh, you're a stand-up comedian, or do you act? And I'm like, this is really not going the way I thought that this was going to go.
Oh, no.
and so I sort of backed away from stand-up because what I really wanted to do was comedic acting. So I got more involved in acting at that point.
Yeah, I had taken a class too. That was my thing. There's a place called Stand Up University on Long Island, basically, that I had done like a quick like kind of one of those open mic nights first, and I did so bad, and I was so upset. But everyone was saying, because well, you just need to learn a bit about it. So I think as this was a surprise gift, my parents had found out that I did it. I didn't tell anybody. I don't know who told them. But somebody leaked it to them. So they actually bought me the first round of classes that I took. And it was really fun because, it's just like you said, it gives you an outlet to go across like some things that maybe like seem like they're not going so great, but you can make yourself laugh at them. And then you see everyone else laughs with you,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But sorry. And I told you, I'm like, oh, we're going to make it nice and light. And there I go. And like, you started with I went to a bad story in the beginning, but then at least it ended up good though. So.
Well, I mean, I feel like everything that, to have a really good ending, it almost always starts with a really bad beginning. I mean, there has to be somewhere to go. At least that's in my experience. I've just gone through so much shit in my life that like, there's only one way to go.
That's right.
That's true. That's my logic on all my sports teams when they do bad. I'm like, just think how great it'll be when they win in 35 years, Yeah,
exactly. They're building up the anticipation.
Yeah, you need that.
Yeah.
All right. So, Lauren, you've been doing a ton of great content during quarantine, which we've been watching. What is your inspiration for the videos?
Well, thank you very much for that compliment. I appreciate that. I guess my inspiration, I guess my goal, I would say that I have a goal with every video, and it's to have like the most contrast. So whenever I do anything comedic in a video, I just want to have like the unexpected happen. So as long as I can come up with the heaviest hitting unexpected ending, then I won.
Especially the one you did where it was the one I commented on where you did the thing where you came and you stumbled out the door and then you kept stumbling throughout like, all the things. I said, oh my God. But I mean it though. Tim could attest. He's seen me at my klutziest moment. That is something I would do. I would literally just trip and stumble through. And
I got that my grandmother tripped over a speed bump the other day before I made that video. We were all walking. It was me, my mom, and my grandmother. And we're all walking, and my grandmother shuffles her feet, and she's ancient, and she just like goes over this speed bump, and since she's shuffling her feet, she trips over the speed bump. And I mean, literally, my trip out the door is exactly what it looked like. It was like one step, one step, one step, one step, one step. And I'm looking at her and I'm just like, fall already. Like, just fucking fall. What are you doing? You are so dramatic. Like, nobody cares. And so then my mom is standing there laughing her ass off, and she's making fun of my grandmother, and she's like, who trips over a speed bump? Like, I mean, you're not even hardly moving, and you go too fast over a speed bump. And in that moment, I am not kidding, we come to the next speed bump, and my mom trips.
Oh my God.
And she trips. And not only that, but she falls, hits her elbow, sprains her wrist.
Oh my God.
And then has to go to the hospital because she thought she broke it. And I'm standing there just dying. And I'm like, my family is just a bunch of fucking losers. Like, you guys just like one takes a tumble, the next one takes a tumble, and I was afraid to say anything because the last person who said something broke their wrist.
Oh my God.
So I went home and I laughed about it for weeks. I was like, this is just the fun. And I couldn't get over it. And then once all the drama had slowed down and everybody could laugh about it, that video is what I saw in my head of everybody like falling forever. And I'm like, I got it. And so that's where that video came from. But
yeah, that one was a good one. And the thing is, at least you guys change it up. I would would just trip a second time over the second speed bump. And like, it's almost become like a thing where it's like, I'll fall and I'll start laughing at myself so hard that people like think I'm like hurt because no sound is coming out, but it's really just me laughing.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way.
I've seen Brian trip in a bathroom stall and fall into an adjacent bathroom stall. I don't even know how it's physically possible, but I've seen him do it.
Yeah, it was like I don't even know, but the person, whoever was in that stall, just apparently just saw legs come through underneath their stall. And they just went, "Oh my God, dude, are you okay?" But I couldn't say where. I was just so embarrassed. I was just like kind of pulled my legs back under, got out really fast. Turned out that one of my other friends was along with Tim too was on the other side stall, and he heard it and he goes, "That was you?" They heard all the ruckus, but
that's so funny.
Yeah, so there's an idea for you. You can use that if you want. Like
that's
like having like legs go under the stall.
That's what it's all about. It's so funny. I just love making fun of things I see.
Yeah, no, it's great. I noticed too, like your comedy has you have such good physical comedy stuff that you do too on top of it. Because that's like, because like it was in I mean, we'll get to probably get to it later when we talk about when you scream in the Donuts movie and you do like the circle around the car and you're just going, yeah. I was hysterical because it's like that, it made it so much funnier with that scene that with the arms and everything just flailing, going around. It's like, it's difficult to do sometimes physical comedy because you want to make it look funny, but also not like ridiculous at the same time, but walk that fine line, so to speak. But.
Yeah. Attack of the Killer Donuts. That was one of the like most fun films I've ever shot. I remember when I auditioned for that, I walked in and I told the director before I even like auditioned, I was like, I just really want to get this so that I can say I was in a movie called Attack of the Donuts. And so, with that said, I would like to audition for the role of Veronica. And then before I left, the director was like, "You're Veronica." And I was like, yes! Yes! And when we were filming that one scene that you're talking about, the director was asking me to like run around the car and he's like, "Just be dramatic." And I'm like, easy. Yeah. And so I start like, I think I wasn't like as characterized as the scene that you saw. Like, I think I was like more like hysterical. And then he was like, "I want you to like move every single part of your body." And he's like, "And I want you to like lift your knees up like you're doing high knees. And I just want to see everything bounce." And I was just like, okay, let me see how we're going to do this. And I just like hiked up my bra and I was like, "Here we go." And then I just made it all bounce. And then I got like a standing ovation from production and they were like, "Fucking killed it." And then that was it.
It was great. I need to look to see if there's a GIF of that because that would be a good one to put in. I
think that there is.
Oh, there is? Oh, good.
I think so. I think people, you know what? That's the weirdest thing. When people will text me GIFs of me, I'm like, who did that?
I don't know where they come from, but there's some of them are so good. But I use them all the time. There's times I'll like go back and forth in conversations with people with nothing but those GIFs back and forth.
Oh, that's like me and my mom for sure. My mom and I do that.
That's awesome. So basically that you do videos, the movie, TV. You have such a wide array of talents. So I even saw the little, I guess, short musical, if you want to call it, the Venmo Me one, which I thought was hilarious.
Thank you. Oh man!
If we knew you then, we totally would have Venmo'd you too, just because.
Oh, well, that was a joke. I didn't think anybody was gonna Venmo.
Did actually someone Venmo you? Did you actually?
Tons of people Venmo'd me.
Oh my god! You have the soupy sales like all over.
Oh my god! And I ended up like it paid for the production of the video.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
And I was just like, cool.
I think I know what Tim and I need to do this holiday season then. But but out of all those things, what's your favorite type of role or genre that you like to do?
Comedy is my favorite of anything. My favorite horror film, like every Halloween, the movie that I watch is Dale and Tucker versus Evil. Have you guys seen that?
Oh my gosh, yes.
That is
favorites.
One of our favorites.
It's like religion to me. Like that movie. And anytime someone says that they haven't seen it, it doesn't even matter what time of the year it is. I'm like, wow, that's what we're watching tonight. That movie is so amazing to me because it's the perfect mix of horror and comedy together. Mm-hmm. And so that would be like the ultimate thing for me. If like movies like that were made where, because to me that's the contrast. You know, it's like what I want to do in my videos is I want like you to not see what's coming and then it be hilarious. So that movie to me is like so ultimate. And so I guess that's my answer. Like I ideally would love to do anything that is like really knee slapper. And a lot of my comedy too is like, how do I say it? It's, I don't want to say dumb, but it's like an eye roll. Like, oh my God. Like, you know, and so, but that's the part that makes me laugh. And so that's, as long as comedy can be really fun and quirky and have personality, then I'm very into it.
Oh, you know, that comes across, by the way. You definitely succeed in that. We can say that. So
thank you.
I know we're just two knuckleheads who do a podcast, but if it helps to know that's what we think.
It all helps. Absolutely. I do it for feedback. If I didn't do it for feedback, I would just have like a whole portfolio that was set to private.
Nice.
So yeah, thank you.
So you mentioned Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Are there any other horror movies that you absolutely just love?
Yeah, you know, again, I like the fun ones. So like Hocus Pocus. I like Casper, the Friendly Ghost.
I love that one.
I like The Nightmare Before Christmas. I like the really fun movies. Scary movies. Like, I watched The Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
I still don't sleep well. That movie really, like, the part where the demon stepped on the bed and then the bed, like, moved downwards. Every single night that I go to bed and I turn off the light, I am not kidding. I have a flash. And I'm just like, God, please help there not be any demons in here. Because that movie has fucked with me.
Oh, no.
And like, now whenever I see scary, like Saw, like, whoa. The part where, like, that part of that movie that fucked with me was when someone fell into the pit of all of the needles.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that part?
Yeah, that one freaked me out too.
Like, I mean, I feel like whoever wrote that scene had previously fallen into a cactus and was like, this has to be written into Saw. But like stuff like that, I guess it's like when things get too real, like that, I don't know, that just, it rubs me the wrong way and I get like, I'm too visual. I'm too, like, I take things in a little too much. And I'm just like, I can't separate real life and movie life. So I need a cartoon.
So we know which ones not to send your way for recommendation, I guess.
Right,
at least that's good.
If it's, like, fun and cartoony, I'm like, I can watch it. But I'm on the scale of meter. And also that brings me to CLOWNTOWN. When I did CLOWNTOwn, I'm gonna throw Katie Keene under the bus here.
Oh no.
So, when we were filming that, the director was like, this is a movie like sort of based on a true story. There was these clowns in Bakersfield at the time that were like standing by bus stops, and they would just stand there and stare at people. And it was like really scary, and there was like 2 or 3 murders in that town, and they were saying that it was like due to the clowns. I don't know. Oh. It was like, I guess that it had somehow happened. And this movie was like loosely based on that. Well, I'm not afraid of clowns. So the girl that played my best friend in it, her name is Katie Keene, was and is deathly afraid of clowns. Like,
oh, no.
And it was a problem. But because she couldn't like even be around them in makeup. Like it was a real phobia for her. And the director was like concerned. He's like, are you going to be able to like act? And he's like, well, I do cry hysterically in all of the scenes. So I think this is going to work out. And she ended up doing like such a fantastic job. And it was like mind blowing because she was actually afraid when they would like approach her with like the baseball bat and tie her up and all this stuff. I mean, and being on the sidelines watching her, I was just like, oh my God, like that's really terrifying. And she would just like scream and cry, and then like the clowns would have to like wash their face and give her a hug, and I'm just like, oh, but that's what like scary movies are to me. I'm like, that's me in real life. I'm just like scared of scary movies. But that was like probably the scariest movie I've ever done. And I really wasn't scared. But the girl that was working with me was. And that was like, everyone had to check in with her. They're like, you okay? Scale of 1 to 10, you all right?
Well, that one with the long hair, that really skinny like one, he kind of freaked me out. I don't really have a phobia of clowns either, but that one kind of made it was a little
he was
unsettling.
Actually the head of the makeup department.
Oh, wow, he was.
Oh, cool.
Oh, okay.
The head of the special effects makeup department. So we filmed that in Ohio, and Quadrant 13 or something, Section 13. There's like a really famous studio effects lab out there, and that clown and his girlfriend, the girl that plays the girl clown, both are the head makeup artist at that special effects studio. So when we were doing that movie, because it was an indie film, it was like low budget, they went to them and were like, hey, could you do some clown makeup? And they're like, oh, that's like our specialty. And so the director ended up really liking their personalities and cast them as 2 of the clowns. And then they ended up doing everybody else's clown makeup. But yeah, that guy, I think his name was David Greathouse. Yeah. And he was pretty talented. He did like some really amazing makeup, which makes sense. Where if you're going to cast someone that's like terrified of clowns, and then you have a makeup artist that's like the head of the special effects department and like knows how to do the clown makeup the best of all time, like, oh, of course, that's going to be terrifying to somebody.
We like CLOWNTOwn though. That was a really good one.
I watched it today. It was great.
Yeah, it was in my queue for a long time too. And then when I realized you were in it too, I was like, oh my God, I got to watch this right away. So I watched it last week. I really liked it though. That was a good one.
I think the best part of it is the lighting. I think that the lighting in it is really, really good.
Well, I mean, it does a good job of being in a really creepy environment the whole time. Even when they're in just the town in the middle of the day looks creepy because it looks so like empty and everything. And it's just
the way that the film looks, I think, is the best. I think that the storyline could have been better. I think that it lacked a little bit on storyline. But we shot that film in like 15 days or something like that. So we did it really fast, and we did it with like hardly any budget. So it's hard to have like a $30 million expectation on a $30,000 film. But in my opinion, I guess from a writing perspective, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more depth just in like parts of the story. I feel like there was gaps. But when we watched it in the premiere, we were all blown away by the way that it looked. Like, it looked fantastic, and it really did feel creepy. But like sometimes I would feel like I would run forever and then suddenly show up inside of a warehouse. And it, like, I don't know how that like exactly translated, and then there was just parts of it where I'm just like, what? But that's like part of just the B movie family. Like, it has to sort of have like a little bit of like it's like all B movies sort of have that vibe.
Yeah.
Well, Tim had a good point. You said, Tim, earlier about the clowns. You were saying what you liked.
Remember the one thing I really liked about it is, a lot of these clown movies, they almost make the clown into some kind of supernatural type thing. Yeah. And I thought this movie was great because it felt sort of like The Strangers to me. Like, these are just psychos that just happen to have clown makeup on.
Yeah.
And that I thought made it more creepy because it's, real life stuff is scarier to me than anything supernatural.
Yeah. The producer on the film, his name is Jeff Miller. He's really, really good at keeping things real like that. He does a lot of horror film type stuff like that, and I see that ongoing like a consistency that he has throughout a lot of his films is that exact thing where he doesn't have this crazy supernatural thing that's unbelievable, so that keeps all of his films really grounded. And I think that's a very cool thing too, because watching it, that CLOWNTOWN could absolutely happen. Like, that could definitely be a thing. Like, some psychopaths throw some makeup on and like set out to kill a group of dumb kids that like stumble into town.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't happen, but I could see that happening. Yeah.
Yeah, and Brian and I watch we're big fans of indie film, low budget film. We're big proponents of it, and we watch a lot of those movies. And I will say the production quality on this one looks way better than a $30,000 budget. It looked really, really good. So yeah.
Thank you. I agree. I agree with you on that. I've been a part of some other projects that have had way bigger budgets and don't even look as good. Mm-hmm. So that's like the one thing I like really compliment Clown. And I'm also my biggest critic. So like whenever I do any kind of a project, I feel like low key people are like, don't show Lauren. Like, just I'll try to get through this without, because I'm just sitting there and I'm just like, that wouldn't happen. That's not what that's supposed to look like. And then so I'm a hard critic on like things like that. But when I saw it, I was like, damn, you guys, like the clowns look real, we look great, the film looks great, the lighting is fantastic, this location is creepy as fuck. I just don't understand why I'm running for 15 minutes.
Well, it gets a Civil Gore stamp of approval, so everybody go watch it on Prime, because that's all it needs is a Civil Gore stamp of approval, right?
Of course. And it's like, as long as you guys approve of it, I'm down.
All right.
And it's supposed to be fun too. It's definitely like a fun film to watch. If you haven't seen it, it's definitely in the cult category.
Yeah, we'll make sure we share, because we actually talked about it in our previous episode when I had seen it, so we already got it going. And now when we interview, we'll make sure we mention it again and get people to listen to it.
Man, Jeff Miller is gonna love you.
Well, let him know. Yeah, gets the Civil Gore stamp of approval, and he'll be like, okay, who? But still, it'll be good.
Well, you guys should talk to him next. I'll connect you guys. But
we'd love that.
Absolutely.
He's a great.
We'd love that. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
So I know we're kind of getting long here. Just a couple more things. So I know Tim and I feel that we really love the horror community in general, and we think it's one of the best fandom communities around. And so we want to make sure, like, hopefully it's been welcoming to you, because once you're kind of in there, you get like they like just like pull you in, and they just love everything that you do, and they support you. But and have you ever wanted to know if you ever been to any of the horror conventions yet to see some of the fans? And
I have not. I have not been to a horror convention. I've only been to the only like convention I've been to is Comic-Con, and WonderCon. Like I've been to the con.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
but when it comes to the horror film conventions, I have a lot of friends that are in them. Like my friend Amanda Wiss.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, she she was telling me about her experience with them, and then there's a director. His name is Harrison Smith. He did House and Camp Dread and all this stuff, and so like a lot of the people that I know are involved with the horror cons like really, really heavily. So I hear about it from them, but me and my experience, I've never been to one.
Yeah, Harrison's cool. We talked to him on social media a lot, like back and forth. There was a whole thing. He posted something about his childhood, something. It was like a picture. We went back and forth for a while. He's a cool guy. I like him.
He's super cool. I've done like 5 films with him.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because you were in it was Garlic and Gunpowder. I saw right on there.
I did Garlic and Gunpowder. I did Death House with him. We did like a horror mansion like maze thing a couple years ago, and I did that with Amanda Wiss too.
Oh, cool.
I'm trying to think of like what other projects I've done with him. I've done some other projects too. I can't remember off the top of my head. I have to look at my IMDb.
It's helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the fun part. Now you get to promote yourself and what you got upcoming. So
Cool.
fire away, promote away.
The next thing I have coming up is a travel show. I'm doing an international travel show. I don't know exactly when because quarantine seems to have been extended, so production is on hold for that. But they're hoping sometime in September, and then that'll be like a national show, and it's called Wanderlust, and so it'll be a travel show, which is kind of cool. I'm fluent in Italian, so the place that we're going first is Italy, so that'll be sort of fun. Film-wise, right now, a lot of things are on hold. So I don't have like any certain updates with what I'm filming like film-wise next, which is why I'm staying so busy on social media. So if you want to see what I'm up to filming-wise, I try to post a video a week. The rest of the time I'm napping. So you can find me on TikTok or Instagram at I am Lauren Compton.
Yeah, we just added a Civil War TikTok. There's just one video of Tim reviewing something real quick because I still don't know how to use it. I don't know. If you offer lessons, like if you do a master class, let me know. I'll sign up because I don't.
Honestly, I'm still learning TikTok. When I like watch TikTok, there's so many different types of people that are doing different things that I'm also sort of like, am I doing this? Like I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I think it's about there's the two kinds of people. There's some things that happen that are like spontaneous, that like only happen like once in a lifetime, do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? It's like moments that are captured where people weren't intending for something to be funny and it ended up being hilarious. Like someone falls down a flight of stairs.
I've done that too.
Like there's like the kind of comedy that you watch on there where like that's just so funny that someone caught that on camera. And then there's like the other kinds of comedy where people are like trying to do sketches and trying to do like really funny things and have a good production value. And so I'm on that side of like trying the most. I'm just doing the absolute most to have a funny video. Like nothing happens to me off the cuff, and I'm like, oh shit, I got that on camera. Like,
well, all your stuff that we've seen has just been super entertaining. So I guess let everyone know. I guess now you could just let everyone know where to find you. I know you said on TikTok. So is that all that? It's always, I think, right? I am Lauren Compton. I think.
TikTok and Instagram are like I am Lauren Compton. It's the only difference between the content is on Instagram. Sometimes I'm doing photos and I'm also doing stories, so it's like sort of like my live daily feed. And then TikTok is where I'm really curating entertainment and creative content. And then Facebook I'm doing, and YouTube I'm posting vlogs. And so I think you can find me pretty easily. You just type in my name. And then shit pops up.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. And I have to say, thank you for the videos too, because I have to say, like, when I first discovered that first one that I had mentioned, I don't know if we talked about it when we were recording or we talked when we were waiting for Tim to come back about the COVID snack time one. But that one was like, that was kind of in the beginning when I discovered that. And, like I was like everybody, you have this like this routine of first you have like, you wake up and there's this dread, and then you're like, because you're waiting to watch the news and you're scrolling through all these horrible things, and then but then you see like that, and then it like offers like such a great distraction. And it was like, so personally I'm thanking you for that, because that was like a nice distraction that day. I remember when I discovered that, I was like, oh, thank God, something that's not like doom and gloom, something that's funny.
You know what, that's a lot of my inspiration with just content in general. I really, everybody enjoys something like a lot, and everyone has a hobby. And I think making people laugh is mine. And I get so much validation out of that. And it's sort of like those Instagram likes and people that hate on them. And they're like, oh my God, she just like all those likes matter to her. I'm the girl that they matter to.
Yeah.
And so
why do people have to do that? Like, just can't they let people enjoy what's going on?
But I do think that it's important, and it encourages me. And I really listen to my audience too. Like, I can't tell you how many videos I've deleted that I've like never posted, because I've made so many videos that people don't get. And when I did one, for instance, where I was learning After Effects, and which is a program where you can learn how to like put special effects in your videos. And I was like, yo, I'm about to level up. I'm about to like really take my videos to the next level. And so it took me like 10 hours to learn how to put some flames in my hand, like sitting there. And I'm just like, damn it, I am going to figure this out. I'm going to make a sketch, and I'm going to use this flame thing on my hand. So the sketch that I had is my boyfriend walks in the door, and I'm like, babe, look what I learned how to do. And then like the flames come out of my hand, and he's like, oh yeah, I can do that too. And takes out a thing of matches and goes to light it and like light his hand on fire. And I'm like, no! And then I shot the video, and then I posted it, and I got so many messages, and people were just like, I don't get it. And I'm like, all you need to get is that it took me 10 fucking hours and I want to post the damn video, and it was such a downer. I just had to delete it because no one saw it.
Oh, I didn't get, and now I feel left out because we didn't get to see it. Yeah.
I know. I was like, nothing's worse than explaining a joke, and so I don't think I created anything on After Effects.
Oh no.
So like that's how much it affected me. I was just like, yo, fuck After Effects.
Well, yeah, I always try and say, whenever you post something, I always make sure I try and either make a like or a nice comment. Well, we always try and do that. So.
Well, thanks. Right. You guys are the best.
We like to help, and seriously, anything once anything you need promoted, you're like a friend of the show now. You're in. I don't know what in means in here, but anything you need, we're more than happy to help, like spread your projects around and whatever you need. So just count on us.
Everybody just needs to be more like you guys.
I wish other people said that though. Not enough people say that, right?
Everybody needs to be like you guys. Civil Gore podcast for the win.
We try. We try.
Yeah. Well, that just made our whole day. So now we can pretty much end the podcast. I don't think we need to do anything more. I feel like we've gotten. Yep, we're done. We're done.
All right. Well, cool. Well, thanks for having me on. This was really fun.
Thanks so much. That was awesome. That was a lot of fun.
Anytime. And I hope to get Jeff Miller in with you guys too.
That would be sweet.
Awesome.
I would love it.
Much.
Yeah. All right.
So,
I'll also promote some CLOWNTOWN.
Yeah, you gotta do that. And so keep in touch with us too. If like I said, if you need, you want to let us know about new stuff coming out, and we'll make sure we talk about it. So
thanks, guys.
All right. And stay safe.
Stay safe.
All right, Brian. So what'd you think of that? That was awesome. It was.
Oh my God, that was so much fun. That was, and I was we usually go into these things. We're like, oh yeah, well, hopefully we'll get to, get like 20, 30 minutes, but we got almost like an hour, and she was so much fun. And I guarantee you, if you had not known of her before, you're going to want to look her up and see everything that she's done, because she is not only great in her horror films, but she is absolutely hilarious. If you look at her YouTube, her TikTok, her Instagram stuff, she is just a really, really talented person.
So, Brian, what is our... I'm reading ahead a little bit. That's why I'm laughing. Yeah. What is our beer pairing for CLOWNTOwn?
Yeah, well, this one, this one actually, believe it or not, took way longer than I thought it should have.
I just love that it's in North Carolina. I've got to look this up.
I was like, when I saw that, I'm like, oh, there's another.
I have never heard of this brewery. Oh my God.
So the beer name is called Scared of Clowns, which is perfect. And it's actually, even Lauren said in the interview, her co-star, Katie Keene, was traumatized almost during the filming of this. So that works on that level right alone. And it's from Ass Clown Brewing out of Cornelius, North Carolina. So I don't know where that is.
I have never heard of Cornelius, North Carolina. I have never heard of that. I'm looking.
Maybe it's a town that like traps you in there just to get their beer, and then the clowns come out and kill you. I don't know.
Okay, let's see. Oh, okay. It's just north of Charlotte.
Oh,
I cannot believe I've never heard of that, it being so close to my dad. But yeah, it's just north of Charlotte.
I think it's a microbrewery, number one. So it may not be like, it's probably not well known. It's probably like you can only probably get it from really local area, like radius. Like probably just maybe some restaurants right around it.
Oh my God, yeah, this town looks like CLOWNTOwn. It is tiny.
Oh boy,
25,000 people.
Well, I think we need to get Tim to take an adventure there one day, and once COVID restrictions lifted, we'll send Tim to CLOWNTOwn. And,
Cornelius is now CLOWNTOwn just because they have a brewery.
Yep.
Oh my God.
It is now CLOWNTOwn. But anyway, so this one's actually a kind of a on the light side, 6.5%. It's a mixed culture kettle sour. I'm not sure what that is, but it says it's re-fermented on orange blossom honey. So sounds interesting. Yeah. But I mean, with the name and the whole group about it, I think we had to pick that, right?
Yeah, we had to. All right, time for our triple threat. So last week we were looking for an actor or actress. This one was tricky, man. I thought this one could be potentially pretty hard, depending on.
Yeah, that's why I gave the next one we have for today a little easier.
Yeah,
softball. But
all right, so we were looking for Betsy Palmer, Jason's mom. Clue number one of my most known roles was of a cook, but that fact was minor in comparison to what my character went on to do. So, of course, Betsy portrayed the infamous Pamela Voorhees, Camp Crystal Lake's former cook and then counselor murderer. Oh, yeah, and she birthed a son named Jason, who followed in her murderous footsteps and, ironically, can make a mean stew himself. Not confirmed.
That's not confirmed. We just saw leftovers.
Clue number two, I have a 1 degree separation to Kevin Bacon, yet I never actually appeared in a scene with him. Of course, Betsy and Kevin both starred in Friday the 13th, yet they never were in any scenes together.
Yeah, because even the scene where Kevin Bacon dies, that was not her hands, obviously. That was
yeah,
as we've seen in many of behind-the-scenes footage of that movie. So,
clue number three, my last role was a title character in a movie based on an old Tennessee legend. Betsy played the Bell Witch in the 2007 movie of the same name. Bonus, it's currently streaming on Amazon Prime. And I will say the Bell Witch is one of my favorite spooky legends. That's a great tale.
I want to see this. This is her last movie. So that was the last movie she did before she retired. Yeah, so.
I definitely want to see that because I love that legend of the Bell Witch. That's a really, really cool legend. All right, so this week, okay, we're throwing you the most easy underhanded pitch we've ever done. Maybe not we've ever done, but it's pretty close to one of the easiest.
Yeah, it's up there.
Yeah. All right, so we are looking for a movie. Just a movie. That's all we're looking for. Clue number one. This was the first film in the series to have the main character mentioned in the title. Clue number two. The main protagonist in this film has been previously played by 2 different actors. And clue number three. This movie is the shortest in the franchise. What movie am I?
I mean, literally, if you're a horror fan, there's probably only... There's got to be 2 things to narrow it down to.
You're probably already shouting the answer at the podcast. So.
But you know what? It's good to give you a softball every now and then.
Yeah, it builds your confidence for when we can crush you later.
Yes.
All right, Brian, time for our Zabmondo question of the week.
Okay. Would you rather be stuck beside someone with a horrific body odor on a crowded subway car for 10 stops, or against someone who has an obvious erection on a long elevator ride?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, well, I could tell you mine first. I know you usually go first. I'll tell you mine.
All right, go for it.
I've already done the horrific body odor on a crowded subway car. I mean, I live in New York, for God's sake. I've done that. Can do it. Can do it with my eyes closed and mouth, I suggest, by the way, on a subway anyway. Even with the pre-COVID stuff in there, I usually go into my own little cocoon on a subway the best I can anyway. And let me tell you, I've been there for the most horrendous smelling subways known to man. So I'm going with that one just because I know I've done it and I've survived and lived to tell about it.
I'm going to have to go with that one too because I've been in that situation before, so I feel like I could be prepared for it. I've never been in that elevator situation before, and I hope I never am. So I am definitely not going to pick the elevator. I'm going with the subway all day long.
Yeah, because that's just embarrassing. Because you know what? If you're on the subway and it's smelly, it's really only like it's really not an embarrassment factor. Because I find most people that smell that bad don't really realize it, obviously, or they would have. I would hope to think they would try and do something about it. But with that whole erection one, it's like it's embarrassing for both people, you know. It's like, I mean, it's like for the erector and the erectee, I guess. I don't know.
Yes, yeah,
but
that's
yeah,
just awkward all the way around. So
yeah. So okay, so here's the good facts that they give you. So It says everybody has his or her own individual odor. Bloodhounds can distinguish between any two people except identical twins whose scents differ only if they've been eating very different foods for quite a while. We wonder then if it's worse for a bloodhound than for a person to be stuck beside someone with horrific body odor. That's a weird little fact there. Okay, then it says, what is the number of seconds that the average American can wait for an elevator before becoming visibly agitated? And they say it's 40 seconds.
Wow.
Boy, they have not stood waiting for an elevator with me because usually after about 5 seconds, I'm done with it. I'm waiting for it.
Our elevator in our business center that I work at, or I used to work at before quarantine, we only have 3 floors. And you would think it was an 80-floor skyscraper, as slow as that elevator is. I'm like, how long does it take an elevator to go the maximum possible distance from the 3rd floor to the 1st floor? It's impossible to say it can be so slow.
That's my building too, and I've literally seen people get into the elevator as I'm approaching the stairway, and I walk past them, and the elevator from floor number 1 to floor number 2 has not arrived yet.
Yeah,
so I don't know if it's like it's like the slowest elevator on the planet, or I'm just a fast walker up the steps. I don't know. I don't think so, but and there's actually one more little fact here. It says, "Hey, you Brazilian jeweler guy, off the elevator," is a quote, and then it says, in 2000, a Brazilian jeweler under the medical supervision used a special device to extend his smallish 4-inch penis to a whopping 10.5 inches. The stretch took over 3 years and is the longest ever achieved using this special traction tool.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
See, that's someone that needs to use the stairs then, because come on.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it even fit in the elevator, but
all right, guys. Well, we will be back next week with another movie, and maybe we'll do The Lodge next week, Brian.
I get because I'm still like I need to talk to about someone with that, and nobody messaged me, so either nobody saw it or they didn't care to hear it. Well, then again, it's just released today. I think when I said that.
Yeah, we were originally going to do it this week, but Brian got the interview with Lauren, so we couldn't pass up the opportunity to promote CLOWNTOWN, so that's why we delayed it a week. But we'll probably do The Lodge next week, so if you guys want to watch that one, knock it out before we talk about it.
So once again, another special thank you to Lauren Compton. We got so much out of that because there was so many good facts about the movie, about her career, just cool stories and stuff, and she's just an awesome person. So follow her. We'll put all her details again in the show notes that she mentioned at the end of the show.
Yes, thank you, Lauren. That was fantastic and made for a really, really fun show. So, guys, we'll see you back here next week. And remember, don't lose your phone while traveling through rural Ohio.
But then, if you do, call Tim because he's experienced in CLOWNTOwn.